When should drapery kiss the floor, break at the hem, or hover just above?
I typically have all of my drapery kiss the floor because it softly grounds it. If you are working around, I want to say like a vent in the lower part of a wall, you might want it to break the floor because then it holds it a little more from airflow. And then if it's hovering just above, a lot of times I'll hover it a little higher if there are pets in the home or considerations like that. If it's over across sliding doors where you want a little more free movement. But for side panels, I find just kissing the floor is a nice finished look. Custom.
Nice. What's the difference between like kissing the floor and hovering just above, or is that very similar?
It's very similar. Yeah, it's very similar. It's like that gray area because you'd like to be as exact as you can, but because it's a soft treatment, you know, there's only so much the guys can do. If it's by 1/8 of an inch, you know, there's only splitting hairs, if you will, on whether it's kissing or just off the floor. But it's that just basically there's an immeasurable difference, but it's not floating. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like kissing the floor is that very, very close measurement where just above could be like an inch.
Yes.
Okay. How often should I replace the batteries in my motorized shades?
Our batteries typically last, the manufacturers say they typically last a year. And that really depends a lot on usage. I've had batteries in motorized shades in my own home last almost 2 years because they're not ones that I use every day. So I would say, you know, again, based on usage, but usually a year is a standard good estimate.
Are there typically signs that they're running low?
Depends on what kind of battery you have. If you have a rechargeable battery pack, it will just die. The shade will just stop working. And then you'll know that if it's not responding and not working, that it's time to charge the battery. If you have battery packs that you put AA batteries in, they won't die flat out, but they will start to work slower. So kind of like when you use a flashlight and the light starts to dim, the shade starts to slow, not respond right away, your batteries are most likely dying, and to replace those.
Is blackout lining really worth it, or is it just a fancy add-on?
No, it's totally worth it. I mean, if you want to block out light, you need to have it. It also depends a lot on the face fabric that you're using. If you're using a heavier woven fabric, you might not need the blackout lining to really achieve darkness, but if you want a dark room, you need to block the light out, and so blackout is worth it. For that matter, it's worth it in terms of temperature insulation as well. It's going to block more air. If you have a drafty window and you put a blackout lined drapery in front of it, that is going to give you more insulation.
What is the biggest mistake homeowners make when measuring their own windows?
I wouldn't say that they necessarily make a mistake. I mean, we all can measure, most of us can measure length and width. Where the mistakes come in is not necessarily recognizing what is needed for installation. There might be a part of a molding or something that's not level, or what are we drilling into to install. There's different things that just a homeowner providing the measurement doesn't give us enough information to successfully go in and install. That's why we like to do it ourselves, because we look at all the issues. And they could be measuring from the center of the window, and then the top could be off by 1/4 of an inch. So there's just more detailed measurements required to make sure we get it right.
Right. Maybe they're not accounting for all the things that they don't know.
Yeah. Whether to do inside mount, whether to do outside mount. If you're doing outside mount, are you mounting on the molding or above the molding? If there's inside mount, is there mullion that's in the way? There's lots of little details that could affect it.
Do cellular shades actually help with energy efficiency, or is that just clever marketing?
No, they do help. They do help. You can definitely feel the difference when you put a cellular shade in a window and put your hand behind it, and you can feel the coldness or the heat between the window and the shade that is not coming through to your home. So it's real.
How do I clean delicate drapery without ruining the fabric?
You get it professionally done. You call.
You take them down.
Yeah, they get taken down. They get dry cleaned. I would, depending on the size of the drapery, I would not take them down myself because there's always a chance of damaging the fabric. You have a service come in, take them down, clean them, bring them, and put them back up. So it's worth it. It's an expense, but it doesn't have to be done that often. And you spend so much on the drapery, you don't want to mess it up by throwing them in the washing machine.
Oh yeah, that sounds.
Or crumpling them in your car and taking them to the dry cleaners. Like, have it professionally done. It's worth
That
it.
sounds like a risk.
Yes.
Yeah. What's better, an extra wide shade or 2 smaller shades on the same size window?
It depends on your usage. What do you need? I encounter this all the time. If it's a bedroom, I would say 1 shade across both windows because you're going to reduce the light gaps. I always say to clients when they say, should I use 1 or 2 shades? Is there a scenario in which you would open 1 shade and not the other? Would you use them independently? Because in that case, yes, have 2 shades. But otherwise, I usually do 1 across unless I'm limited by a maximum length. So, but room darkening 1 shade.
How high should I hang my drapery rod?
Well, that depends. There is like the standard rule of 4, which, 4 inches out from the window, 4 inches above the window. I use that a lot if it's a standard height ceiling. But typically, I have to look at the whole wall and see what we're trying to achieve. I don't necessarily hang at ceiling height because that can look weird to have a huge amount of ceiling, a huge amount of wall above your window that you're trying to hang the drape above. A lot of times I tend to do halfway between the top of the molding and the ceiling because I find that gives you the illusion of height.
The molding of the window frame?
Yes.
Okay.
It gives you more an illusion of height, but it doesn't look weirdly too high. So there is like a standard, but it really just depends on the height of the wall, the height of the window. I don't think there's one right or wrong way. It's just what are you trying to achieve.
If I have a extra tall ceiling, like a 12 or 13 foot ceiling in my room, is there a standard type of rod or hardware I should be using if I have something that's extra high for long drapery, or does it not really matter?
No, it doesn't really matter. I've used the same hardware on standard 10-foot ceilings and up to 20-foot ceilings.
So you can do.
Yeah.
It just depends on what your style is.
It just depends on it's less the height of the ceiling and more the scale of the rod in the room and how much that's part of the statement. If you want to see it a lot, or if you kind of want the hardware to blend in and not stand out, it's
okay. Depending on if it's part of the aesthetic.
Yeah,
what you're going
it's
for.
more the whole design versus the height of the ceiling, I think.
Is motorization safe for kids and pets, and how does that compare to a cordless option?
Safe, yes. The only danger you have is if they try and pull a shade that's motorized and
break the motor, maybe.
and break the motor, or there's nothing unsafe about it in terms of kids and pets. Is it a better option? It's not a better or worse. I love motorization. I'm of the mindset that you use it where it will actually get used. I usually reserve it for, the main living areas and the master bedrooms. And then in kids' rooms, I do cordless. Just because, I don't know, it's just easier. But in terms of safety, they both, in my opinion, are equal. I just use them where they make sense. And a lot of times, you don't need to give kids another remote to play with or lose or,
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then pets.
A cordless would be better in a child's room than a motor.
Just for many reasons. But yeah.
How do I know when it's time to replace my old blinds instead of just getting them repaired?
It depends on what condition they're in. I mean, and if it's repairable. A lot of times, depending, the safety, I know I'm stuttering on this answer because there's like we go a couple ways.
I get it. Because I think there's like a lot of different ways to answer it.
Yeah, I mean, I go into a lot of houses that have old blinds, and they still have, like, say, for example, wood blinds, the long cords that, you know, you pull them open and you have like 6 feet of string hanging down here that you have to, like, you know, I would not repair those. And in most cases, we can't repair them because that's not safe anymore. I think it's like illegal.
Yeah,
so I would, depending on the operating system and how old they are. And then honestly, the quality of the shade. I was in a house the other day that had shades that are 8 years old, and they were talking about replacing them, and it was a Hunter Douglas shade. And I said, no, I think we can repair it. Let's repair it because this is a nice shade. What's wrong? Like, the fabric is still current. Everything about it is still good. I would not buy a new one. Let's try and repair it first.
Oh, is that the one you brought in the other day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but then, you know, I go into another house and I'll see wood blinds again with the strings. Or, you know, I'm like, if that was broken, I would not repair it. I mean, a lot of it, I weigh the cost of the shade, the quality of the shade, if it's worth repairing. If the repair is going to be $150, but a new shade is $250, I would buy a new shade. You know, a lot of times, similar to when you think about repairing, you know, appliances and things at home. How much is the repair versus how much is a new shade? So.
Makes sense. Very good.
It.
Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, happy to help.
I appreciate all of your expertise and your fabulous answers.
Thanks.